One of the key inhibitors is the fact that all the new regulations or the existing regulations and questions about future taxation inhibit or disincentivize them from hiring new workers. So they're sitting on a lot of liquidity, a lot of cash. Now, many U.S. corporations are taking that and either buying in their shares or paying out more dividends or investing overseas. Because in those overseas environments, they feel, I'm hearing from these people that are making these decisions, they feel a little bit more certainty about taxation and regulation than they do here in the United States.
If we put more gas in the tank, obviously I'm talking about quantitative easing.
Yes, known as QE2, not the ship.
No, not the ship, far from it.
Right.
But if we put more gas in the tank, is that going to be enough to free up the liquidity? And the markets themselves have already priced it in.
Just so you know, we haven't made that decision. We meet as a committee. The only person who is able and empowered to speak on behalf of all of us is our chairman, Ben Bernanke.
If you do put money in, though, will it work?
We have not yet made that decision.
Do you think it'll work?
This is one of the debates we're having. We have re-liquefied the tanks. We may have to do more or we may not. But the real question is, how does it take? And how can we grow again? And the purpose of growing, of course, is to enhance the living standards of Americans. That can only be done by employing more people. So I don't know the answer, but I do know that our policies would be even more effective than they have been if we were able to dovetail with more incentivizing fiscal behavior.
What if it doesn't work? What happens then?
You know, the markets like to create excitement about what we do. Obviously, we're the central bank of the most powerful country in the world, the largest economy in the world. It's not unimportant. I'm not denigrating the markets. But markets are manic depressive mechanisms. Our job is not to be worried about what the markets are going to react with, unless they go haywire because we make a silly decision. Our job is to get it right for the purpose of the economy.
So narrow it down for me, though, because we're sort of walking around the idea of what's possible.
We will have low interest rates for quite some time now. And then the market imputes how long that's likely to be and makes long-term investment decisions or short-term trading decisions on that basis. And this is how the central banks function.
You know how they function, but I still want to know what the ammunition is.
Well, the ammunition is either we can adjust the Fed funds rate. We pay interest on reserves now for banks that have, as I mentioned earlier, over $1 trillion in excess reserves on our balance sheet. We can move that rate around. We have the equivalent of a time deposit that is deposited with us for longer periods. We can move that interest rate around. We can engage in what are known as the repo markets, the tri-party repo markets. We've been developing all these different tools in the last year and a half that allows us to affect what's going on in the marketplace. Or we can just buy things outright and put more money into the system. So there are bullets in our holster.
Unusual for there to be quite such transparency amongst the Federal Reserve right now.
We have become more transparent. The theory behind that is that markets can then discount more information and make better decisions. And there's a bit of an argument about that. We're going to be 100 years old in 2014. Now, my perspective is that a full frontal view of a 100-year-old anything is not very attractive. So, you know, we can give them too much and confuse the marketplace.